Howdy doody out there in YouTube land. Y'all should just park your pickup trucks and get them kids off the four-wheelers. Tell them to bring you an ice cold one and join us right now for a little Ready, Set, Drone fun, 'cause it's First Friday and everybody's here to have a good time. I see we got a great group of good old boys in the chat tonight. I see Skeeter, Tater, Possum, Billy, Bobby, Ken, and my brother Brad from Virginia. All in the chat and ready to help us get this party started. Welcome all y'all. Hey, and welcome to our lady friend too. I know there's probably only one, but thanks for being here. It is First Friday and it's time to get started, so let me introduce your host, the man with the plan, the guy who can fly, the dude who's rarely rude, Kelly Shores. Yeah!
That guy always cracks me up. We call him the Blue Genie here, and the Blue Genie is so glad you're here for a special time at First Friday. It's 5:30 p.m. Central, and you're wondering, why did we switch? Well, was it because Sean, didn't want to stay up that late? No. Was it because Chris didn't want to stay up that late? Partly. But it was mostly because Artco Drone Solution asked me to, and he's got a show coming on at 7 p.m. Central. He's in the Philippines. I think I've actually got a link to that show in the description, so I'll encourage everyone to go over there at 7 p.m. Central in an hour and a half after you've watched this amazing show, because tonight is actually going to be really good. First of all, we have two great guests. We have Sean and we have Gary. Sean is from Geeksvana, living in the UK, and you've probably seen his show. He's pretty huge over there. I actually had a chance to meet him in person, and we had a great time. He was even better looking in person. And then Gary from Canada, now he's not as good looking in person, but he was nice enough. He's Canadian, right? But just got to meet him a couple of days ago at the South Florida Drone Meetup. We're going to have both of them on, and the topic is really, what should you know before you fly in another country? So I realize this doesn't represent the entire globe. We are going to possibly have XJet and maybe somebody from Australia, New Zealand, some of those areas on, maybe Latin America in the future. But right now we're talking about Europe. And I know even England's not part of Europe really, but Sean is familiar with European drone laws. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Canada, and we're going to talk about the US. So if you have questions about, can I fly with a drone? What's the rule for filming in parks overseas, etc., get them ready, and you can ask us, our expert panel here, and we'll be sure to answer. But also tonight, in addition to talking about flying in different countries, we're going to talk about the hidden hashtag contest. Now, if you have been watching this channel for a while, you might know that we hide hashtags in some of the videos, and they're actually in the video. If you're watching it closely, you'll see it. And if you comment with that hashtag, you are automatically entered. And tonight, the giveaway is an anemometer. Now, if you don't know what an anemometer is, we're going to go into a deep dive about that a little later, but an anemometer is really handy for drone flying, especially in South Florida during the drone meetup because it was windy. It's a wind speed indicator, but it can be used for other stuff. We'll show you that shortly. I'll be giving that away to the winner of the hidden hashtag contest tonight. And I will also, and by the way, I want to thank TopTes, TopTes, TopTes is the company that provided this. I want to thank them for doing so. And then I also want to tell you that we have a new 2 Minutes of Hope, and it's actually great, just like they always are. This one is something I've never seen before. I've got a little explanation about it from Chris Hope, and we're going to play that earlier. We are going to have a recap of the South Florida Drone Meetup. I've got a little video that came from there that's going to be a lot of fun to see. We will announce the subscriber of the month. And then I think if everybody sticks around till the end, we have a date for Spin Up, an official date for Spin Up. I wish I had it last week when I was in Florida, but I didn't. But now I do. I booked the venue, and I'll give you all the details as soon as we get to the end of the show. So stick around. And I'll also say, by the way, I do want to say thank you to Michael and who was the other new member that just joined? Oh yeah, Barry. Oh, sorry, Gary joined. Yeah, Gary, who's sitting right here, joined just a few minutes ago. If you are a flight crew member and you're planning to come to Spin Up, you will get a discount code. So don't buy your ticket without a discount code if you're a flight crew member. And if you join tonight, you will also get a discount code. I am not going to retroactively give discount codes to people who join later, though. So if you're already a member or you're thinking about joining, you can join for like $2 a month. I think it's $1.99 a month, and your discount code will far outweigh that. And so if you join tonight, when tickets go on sale, you'll be able to get a big discount. So with all of that said, so many things to talk about, let's start our conversation here. I want to first of all introduce Sean from Geeksvana. Sean has been a friend to Ready Set Drone, and I have been a friend to Geeksvana for several years now. And like I said, just got the opportunity to actually go meet Sean live in person at a pub in England, which was fantastic. We'll talk a little bit about that. And then also Gary from Brant Aerials. Gary is our Canadian expert tonight. He actually is a certified pilot and does know a lot about the rules. He has some interesting things to talk about with regard to flying in Canada, and also with regard to some apps that you can get that either cost money or are free that kind of help guide you when you're flying in Canada if you're not familiar with what the rules are and such. So if we could go ahead and bring in Sean and Gary, that would be awesome. And while they're coming in, I'll go ahead and crack the Dr. Pepper. There we go. It's a cold, rainy day here, and, nothing refreshes like ice-cold Dr. Pepper, water, or what do you got there, Gary?
Coke Zero.
Coke Zero.
with Havana Club rum.
So it's not really zero anymore.
You
You might as well just start with water and just, yeah. So good to see you guys, Sean. Man, what a treat that was to get to hang out with you in Bath, the proper pronunciation.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and obviously it was slightly fortuitous because obviously Bath is a couple of hours away from where I normally live, but I happened to be in Bath with clients on the day you were there, or one of the days you were there. So that was pretty cool because I hadn't been to Bath for a good couple of years.
Beautiful little town.
That. So yeah.
Very beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very historic area, actually. I have to ask, did you go back for fish and chips?
Yes. Well, we didn't go there. We went to a different pub, actually. But I had the best fish and chips, in my entire life.
Nice.
It really is different when you have fish and chips over there. It's funny because both Canada and England, I think my perception when I was younger and I hadn't been to either, or I had been but didn't remember because I was too young, there's so many little subtle differences that are just cool. Just things from the money to the way people talk to the traffic signs, everything being in either, and of course, Sean knows that there's a mix of metric and imperial there, but of course in Canada everything is pretty much metric. But it's just fun to go visit those countries, know the language, or at least as well as Americans do, right? And just go around and see things. It's so much fun. And I think I've shared with both of you before. My wife and her family are Canadian, and so we go up there quite often. And I love both places. Fish and chips in the UK, and then poutine. And what's the other favorite in Canada, Gary?
Pizza without that pineapple stuff. We're very sorry that we invented Hawaiian pizza.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of funny that it's Hawaiian pizza. It's like you wanted to annex Hawaii or something.
That's crazy,
Well,
so we apologize for Hawaiian pizza and Nickelback and
Canadian bacon.
Canadian bacon.
Hey, I like Nickelback. Don't leave. Nickelback's pretty cool.
Where I worked, where I was in charge, we were Nickelback free zone. If Nickelback came on the radio, you had to mute the radio.
Oh man. And you had to put a nickel in the jar, right? It was like a swear jar that you had to put it in. Well,
which is actually where the name came from, wasn't it? It was because he was a barista. And he used to say to people, "Here's your Nickelback." So when they started the band, he called it Nickelback.
Well, I had no idea. If that's not true, it's really good story. You know?
Oh yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, yeah. I heard
actually
it in an interview. Unless he was trolling us, of course. You never know.
Now, you guys are both. First of all, thank you for being here. You're both well respected in the drone community. You both do live streams. You both carry your certificates and take. Yeah, everybody's looking around. You mean me? No, and I think it's awesome that you were able to join tonight so that we could talk about what people should expect. I feel like if you do care about the rules, you should ask these questions, right? And the first question I think almost anybody is going to ask is, what about flying on an airliner with a drone, if you've never done that before? So I have my experiences with that, but Gary, you just did that. Can you talk a little bit about what you flew with and how you did that the proper way?
Can I cut across?
Oh,
Can I cut
yeah.
across and
Yeah,
just say
please.
You probably shouldn't fly on an airliner with your drone. The way that you've just described it makes it sound like you're actually flying the drone on the airliner.
True.
The
flight attendant
difficult in most countries.
The flight attendant, that'll be one of those incidents that gets on national news, and it had to be diverted, landed. Yeah, okay. Flying, stowing your drone and batteries in a bag and taking them across the pond or down south. Gary, what was your experience with that?
That's it.
Well, here's my experience. When I went down, I had everything for my drone in the bag.
Okay.
All the batteries were in the bag, and they were all for carry-on. And that's just the way it was. Coming back, I had another drone I won in Florida.
Oh, that's right.
That came with 2 batteries. So I couldn't put that in checked baggage because it had batteries. So what I did was I took the drone out of my bag and put it in the checked baggage, and then took the batteries out of my Exo Mini Pro.
Oh, yeah. No comment.
Which is the only Exo Mini Pro in Canada because it's only available in the US. But I took the batteries from the Exo Mini Pro and put them in the drone case where the Air 2S had been.
Okay.
And then carried everything together.
So the theme there is you can't put drone batteries in your checked bags, or you shouldn't put drone batteries in your checked bags.
Nope.
Yeah.
And I also made sure that I had my my Pocket 2 was in with my drone bag, so that those batteries weren't stowed. So
yeah, I mean, it doesn't happen very often, but if a drone battery or any sort of LiPo or lithium ferrous or any other type of lithium ion battery were to go berserk in the belly of the plane, nobody's going to know, right? There's nothing you can do about it. I think that's the thinking is there's people in the cabin that can deal with it if it happens up there, and also it's probably more pressurized and more of a less cold or hot environment in the cabin than it is down below.
Well, and they have fire extinguishers in the cabin.
True.
So they can fight that fire right there and then, right?
So Sean, you said you are most likely going to make it over to the U.S. sometime this year, maybe once or twice.
Yeah, I've got about 3 or 4 trips planned to the States
Nice.
for work. I'm one of those happily coincides and location coincides, so I can come along to Ken's event
to
Mindfield,
Mindfield.
which I'm looking forward to. So I'm hoping to get over a few times this year, which is exciting.
Any thoughts from you on bringing your drones over here?
Well, I actually plan to sit my 107 while I'm over.
Oh, wow!
So I think I probably will have a celebratory flight. Hopefully celebratory flight afterwards. But yeah, it'll probably be somebody's drone, a drone that's stateside basically, rather than bringing one.
Yeah, I mean, most of your friends here have drones, probably, or a lot of them do.
Exactly.
So
Now,
let me ask you this.
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Can foreign citizens get a 107?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And is the same?
There's a couple of small extra hoops, but yes, you absolutely can.
Is the reverse true? Can U.S. or Canadians get an English license?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And what about
In fact,
Canada?
if you are required, of course, to register if the drone requires it, which most do. And yeah, a foreign national can take our GVC, which is kind of a Part 107, and the A2 CFC is a completely online course as well. So yeah.
Wow. So I actually didn't end up flying when I was over there. I didn't actually bring a drone. I think I told you that. Kind of same thought was if I really want to fly, I can probably find somebody with a drone. But then it turned out the weather was atrocious pretty much the whole time we were there. It was cold, rainy, windy, very rainy.
It's lovely now. It's a shame you're not here now.
Yeah. Well, no, we had a great
Always the
time. You know, honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything. But the question would have been if I had just shown up with my drone and had packed it properly, brought it across. If it is sub 250, or what is the point at which I would have to register it? Is it a 250 gram thing?
Yeah, so sub 250. It would have required it if you had a camera on there, so something like a Mini 3 or a Mini 2, you know, a GPS drone. You would have needed part of it, because we actually have two parts of drone registration here. One is the operator ID, which is basically states who actually owns the drone, who is the operator of the drone, and the other one is the flyer ID. And you need the flyer ID on anything over 250 grams, and you need the operator ID also on anything over 250 grams, unless it has a complex camera capable of recording. So all the minis and the Autel Nanos and that type of thing, they all require the operator ID only. But that's all you would have needed.
Okay, and that's something I could do in advance online before I got there.
Yes, many people do. Yeah, we actually have a video on that, and we've had a lot of US visitors. We've got one on the EU and one for the UK, and we get a lot of comments on those videos from US guys that are coming over.
Nice.
That are happy to have the information.
Does the UK one cover, I mean, it's a stupid question because it is the UK, but I assume it covers Ireland, Scotland, the entire United Kingdom?
Ireland isn't part of the UK.
Oh.
There's
Northern Ireland. Okay.
Yeah. So that very small part of Ireland up the top there, that is covered by it. Ireland is part of the EU. So, and although we have essentially the same rules, we have the adopted EU rules here. You have to have the same equivalent for both sides, basically. However, in the EU, once you've registered in one EU country, you can fly anywhere, basically.
Kind of like the states, like any state. Texas,
That's
Nevada,
exactly how to think of it.
Canada,
think of Europe
Mexico,
like,
any state.
Exactly. So if you think about Italy, Germany, France as like Texas, Ohio, Florida type thing, then yeah, it's exactly the same. If you're within the EU, EASA it's called, member state area, you only need to have the one set of credentials, basically.
And if you're really bad at geography, like most Americans, and you don't know the difference between an EU country and, or you think that Canada is a state and you're coming over here, then you might be in trouble. But no, that is great to know. I had not. It was funny because I actually had not. I had thought about bringing my Mini, and I hadn't thought about, because it's sub 250. I hadn't thought about needing to do anything with it. I didn't even know the rule about having a 4K complex camera being one of the criteria for making it.
Or a recordable camera, but yeah.
Okay. Oh, so if it's a camera that's just doing a live, like if it's just giving a
so
feed?
like a sub 250,
like an FPV camera,
FPV drone that doesn't have DVR, that you're absolutely fine with that.
Really? So the DVR is the difference.
Yeah, it's actually the sub 250 thing needing the drone registration is actually a privacy issue rather than a drone rules issue, basically. And it's an EU privacy issue even more than even necessarily than a UK one. But obviously we adopted those rules.
So let me ask you this: if I went through that process or process, as you guys might say, and I was going to come over again. Like if you're going to come to the U.S. multiple times and you have your 107, it's good for 2 years, right? And so, and then you can take the reoccurrent, and it'll be good for as long as you keep up with it. Is it something you have to do every time you come over, or is it something that is done annually, or how often do you have to follow those steps in England?
So the operator ID, which is the number that goes on your drone, that is every year. and that costs £10.33. It's an odd amount, and it's a whole conversation as to why it's an odd amount.
If it had been £10.45 and you paid $10.50, you would have got a nickel back.
Although they're not nickels here, but yeah, okay. I still appreciate the dad joke.
All right.
But yeah, so that one is £10 ish a year, but has to be, obviously, hence saying a year, it has to be renewed every year. The Flyer ID is 5 years and is free. And that's essentially the knowledge test. So it's basically, you have to, one, register your drone, but two, show competency. So the base competency is the Flyer ID, which is a 40 multiple choice questionnaire, a bit like 107, where all the answers are actually within the website, so you really technically can't fail it.
Right.
And then above that, we have the A2 CFC, which allows you to fly heavier quads over 250 grams in congested areas, so towns, cities, anything like that. And then above that, we have the GVC, which is kind of like the 107 plus. Because there is actually a full flight test involved in that and everything. So it's a little bit more involved than the 107.
So someone has to come out, or you have to go to them and pass an actual flight test. And did you?
Yes, and mine is actually on my channel.
You recorded
as part of the as part of International Drone Day a couple of years ago. We actually live streamed my flight test.
Nice.
Which was stressful.
Okay, I've got to watch that, because not only are you trying to pass the test, but you're trying to be entertaining and keep your cool under pressure.
Oh, I forgot. I ignored all the entertaining stuff. Unfortunately, I was there with a production team, so somebody else was handling all of the filming and the
right.
We had another drone live broadcasting above as well, so we had an Inspire 2 watching the whole thing, and
wow,
yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that takes some, as they say in south of the border, cojones to do something like that. So Gary, you
in fact the instructor did make that precise comment towards the end of the test.
he said Sean, and you know,
I also flew in ATI mode. I flew an Inspire 1 in ATI mode. You're allowed to fly it like a Mavic, just in auto mode and just have it in full GPS mode. But just I felt like, because obviously YouTuber and I always bang on about the rules, etc. I felt like it was a good opportunity for me to prove that I can actually fly a drone and I can control something like an Inspire 1 in ATI mode during the test, which isn't difficult, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I tried to make it as complex as I possibly could.
Well,
for some reason.
What's the hardest thing they made you do? Most difficult thing?
I think it's actually we had cones set out on the ground as waypoints.
Okay.
And you had to fly over to those waypoints at certain heights. So you had to be at one of them, you had to be at 20 meters. The next one, you had to be at 50 meters, that type of thing. And you had to do it backwards, sideways, figure of eights, etc. All the while crossing over these cone locations.
Okay.
And what I found interesting was actually learning how to really know that I'm over something and not just in the general location. So, when you pop the camera down and you can see, okay, I am bang on where I should be.
Right.
That was interesting to me.
Wow. So Gary, you had to do a similar thing. There's a similar situation in Canadian. So here in the U.S., at least for your 107, you don't do a practical, right? It's just a written test, and that's that. Gary, you got your equivalent. What is the Canadian equivalent of a professional drone pilot license called?
Well, a basic pilot, anyone with the basic certificate can fly commercially. There's no difference between basic and advanced as far as making money. The difference with the advanced is you can fly closer to people.
Okay. And
you can fly closer to aerodromes and airports and helipads and those sorts of things. So, and they still require permissions and whatnot. So,
but now you told me that there is a practical test where not just a written test, but someone comes out. They came to your place, right? Someone came to you. And
I was lucky enough to hook up with a flight instructor who was a traveling flight instructor. So I gave him my address. He came here, and I had home field advantage, right?
Right.
He'd say, how high is that silo over there? And I said, well, it's 63 feet. you know.
Yeah, because you
And,
knew.
and the pine tree is 85 and it's 5.8 kilometers to the airport. And,
Well, let me
you
ask
know,
you this: how could he disprove that silo was 63 feet tall? I mean, he doesn't know how
well,
tall it is.
well, what he was doing was just checking that I had done a site survey, right?
Okay,
Right.
okay. So
You know, you're required, you've got checklists that you're supposed to go through. I showed him my Drone Pilot Canada app, which had all of the checklists, the pre-flight checklists, and all those sorts of things. Oh, there you go. There's the Drone Pilot Canada app.
yeah,
You know, which I don't understand why you don't have something like that in the US. This was developed by Don Joyce from Don Drones On, and he's sort of the expert on yeah, well, yeah, and there's all your checklists.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And this
yeah,
is something that's on your phone, and you said
yep.
it's a annual or a lifetime purchase for like $50 or something.
It's a lifetime purchase. It's $50.
Yeah.
You know, and like you list your crew members. You know, anybody that you've trained as a visual observer, you can put them in as not certified, right?
But
But
they could fly your drone as long as there's a pilot in command. Is that true in Canada as well? Because in the U.S., you can give it to an uncertified pilot as long as there is a remote pilot in command.
That's right. Yeah, who is licensed?
Who is licensed? Yeah.
Basic or advanced. You know, as long as you fly within the rules. And the rules change every 6 months. They they updated on the 23rd of March the aeronautical information manual from Transport Canada. This 46-page document is 5% of the information manual. And this is just the remotely piloted aircraft section.
Now, is that a good toilet reader?
Well, here's what it does for you. A Karen approaches and says, "You can't fly here." You hand her the 46-page
You say
manual and
see
say,
page 12.
Yeah, can you just point out here, because I've studied this and I don't know what I'm violating. Can you go through this for me and tell me what's wrong?
Oh, and that keeps them busy.
Yeah, because they can't read. So
now is you know, unfortunately I know some really nice people named Karen. So I kind of it's very unfortunate that name has been chosen for what they've become. Is that a universal name in Canada and the UK? Like are there is a Karen, or I think Chad is the guy equivalent?
well, here it's Karens and Kyles.
Kyles. What about for you, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't like using it. I really don't like it, but yeah, it is, you know, it is an often used name for an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. No, I feel bad for the thousands of nice Karens in the world that have become a victim of this. But I do know what you mean. It's very descriptive. It does get the point across. So when you had your practical, Gary, you didn't live stream it, huh? You didn't have the cojones that Sean.
No. The only reason I passed it was my wife went and got a dozen donuts for the guy.
That's a strategy. That is a strategy. Definitely. Well, so in terms of when you came over here, Gary, did you do any? I won't send the U.S. police on you, but did you do any special preparation before you flew down here?
Before I flew there, I took the trust test.
Okay.
And I also registered my my drone with the FAA.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you were spot on.
So I've got the FAA markings on one side of the drone and the Canadian Transport Canada markings on the other side. So
and I do have to say I appreciated at the South Florida Drone Meetup that there was a Canadian flag flying pretty prominently.
I was so proud of that.
That was pretty cool.
I was going to bring a flag down and put it over the table that I was sitting at.
Yep.
But we left here at 4:00 in the morning and my brain was foggy. And but fortunately Jim Beauchart remembered to bring the flag, and
that was awesome.
And you know what, it was prominent in so many videos.
Yeah. No, it was all over pictures and videos.
Yeah.
And I also, Sean, I wanted to tell you that even though I did end up wearing a different Ready Set Drone shirt on the day of the event, I wore my Geeks Vana shirt to the meet and greet the night before. And
Awesome.
oh man, so many people asked me, "How'd you get that? How'd you get that? And what does the little number mean?" Because Sean gave me one of his special numbered shirts from when he reached a certain milestone on the channel. So there you go.
Yeah, I think I saw one other one. Tony Faz wore a Geeks Vana shirt.
Nice.
As well. He got one during a competition. Actually, back around when we produced those shirts, the one that you had the
Wait, will you
the
throw
very
that
last
picture
of
back
our
up, Chris?
5K. It's
Oh,
the very
oh,
last
oh.
shirt from when we hit 5,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying the shirt was in 5K because 4K wasn't good enough.
Well, again, that's that metric and English mixing up.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
it was great.
My stickers are now 1080p.
So
Nice.
one other thing that we didn't mention that you guys didn't bring up that I do want to add to the idea of flying with drone is I believe it's a good idea to run your batteries down to storage level. You know, if you can get your batteries down to the between 30 and 50%, you really don't want to fly with them full.
For flying.
Yeah, for transporting on an aircraft. For transporting on a manned aircraft.
Yeah, I think with the intelligent, certainly with the airlines that I've dealt with recently, I've flown with the drones a few times to all sorts of places recently in the last couple of years, especially since COVID opened up again. And actually, if it's the intelligent batteries, they really sort of like, okay, and they move it on. It's only when they start seeing sort of FPV things with
Lipos
wires hanging out and
yeah,
looking like little mini bombs in the suitcase that they start to sweat about how many Mars there are and that type of thing. Just very quickly, I want to give a shout out to Mike Miller in the chat, who actually has 5K01 of that Geeks Vana shirt.
Oh,
he has
nice.
The first ever one of that
Wow.
particular numbered shirt. So
Wow.
yeah, sorry, but yes, I've noticed probably in the last 8 to 12 months, certainly on the planes that I'm getting on here in the UK to go wherever, when I do have drones with me, and sometimes it's Inspire batteries, sometimes it's Mavic batteries. It's never FPV batteries, but the level of scrutiny has dropped dramatically in the last, I would say, 8 to 12 months.
It's becoming more common, I think, and I think you're right. When there's a wire like a balance port or an XT30 cable, power cable hanging off of it, so
they look like little sticks of dynamite.
Yeah, and especially if it's swollen a little bit. But the other thing with those, and this is just a habit I got into with both camera drone batteries as well as FPV batteries, is just the lipo bags, the lipo-safe bags. I just feel a whole lot better having them in there, contained in something like that. And so my advice for anyone going anywhere on an airplane is to take your batteries. And I guess, part of the challenge you run into is probably, Sean, for you, you're flying in someplace, you need to go shoot right away, or you need to go shoot early the next day. You don't have time to charge all the batteries, so maybe you're flying with them charged because basically you got to hit the ground running.
Yeah, fair? I mean, they're never, they're rarely fully charged or anything else like that. But I tend to find with the intelligent batteries, it just isn't so much of an issue. And certainly the guidance seems to have relaxed.
Now, as far as just general public perception of drones in your countries, Canada seems like a laid back place, but I understand to some degree the rules are a little more strict than the U.S., especially when it comes to like having to take a practical test and such. Gary, do you run into many people who are difficult about you flying drones, like either from a privacy perspective or, what's been your experience?
People say, "Hey, what you doing, eh?" And if I show them the screen and they're fascinated by it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What I do is I try and act as an ambassador and engage them. Right. Politeness, kindness goes a long way in this country. If you show them what you do, quite often I'll be in a park and flying down the path and I'll fly past somebody. They don't even take notice of it. It's just.
Yeah. And it's all about, again, your general disposition about it, and also being polite. I have to tell a quick story. So I was in Halifax and filmed at the Citadel in Halifax, which, if anybody knows what that is, and so I'm there at the Citadel. I've got my drone in the air, and a park ranger comes over to me, and I didn't even know it was a park. I just, it was just this place above the town with a fort. Park ranger comes over to me, and he and the drone is still in the air. It was a Mini 3, and he comes over and says, "Hey, I don't know if you know, but you can't fly. This is a state park or a provincial park. You can't fly here.
National park. Yeah.
National park. You can't fly here." And I said, I'm really sorry. I know I said, I'm from the U.S. I know in the U.S. you can't fly in parks. I didn't realize this was a national park, or, I didn't realize this qualified. I will bring the drone down immediately. The guy said, "Okay, thank you. Have a great day." Got in his truck and left before I even landed the drone. And I just thought, that made me feel a lot better about the whole process, because because I felt like I was trusted. I felt like he wasn't looking over my shoulder waiting for me to bring it down. He just let me land it and said, "Have a great day," drove off, and like it was still 100, 30 meters in the air at that point. So what about, Sean, from your perspective, as far as people's perceptions and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, in actual fact, we've just had my last live stream a couple of evenings ago was looking at this topic because we've had a fairly high profile story of a gentleman who shot at an estate agent's, a real estate agent's drone.
Wow.
Who is actually now being prosecuted. He's awaiting sentencing for using the firearm in public. It was only an air pistol, but the threats were made.
I was about to say, gun. I thought even having a firearm in the UK was pretty difficult. So
yeah, it is.
It was an air pistol, as in a BB gun or pellets or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so something over here that
very realistic looking handgun, basically.
Yeah, but that's something like a 4-year-old in Texas would have.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. So he's in a lot of hot water. And actually, we were looking at it from that point of view and saying, there are confrontations happening out there. There are things happening, but actually, how do we win the public over in terms of showing them that drones are a good thing? And I think certainly from my input on that show, it was that we need to see more from the regulator, the CAA, putting some of the large amount of money they charge us all every year as an industry here in the UK in drones into some positive publicity.
Yeah.
In terms of actually that drone is probably being flown legally, and that type of thing to allow the public to know. We do actually have some leaflets that we prepared, which again, they're attached to one of my videos on my channel, that you can hand out to people who are approaching. And it has a couple of little paragraphs explaining what you're doing, explaining that you're registered. It doesn't give them any of your details, but it just lets them know that you are registered, that you know the rules. And then there's some QR codes to take them to the regulations and also to the flight safety map, just show that you're not in a flight restriction zone and that type of thing, basically.
Wow. So it's sort of a proactive way of dealing with people.
It's still a rarer thing than you would imagine that happens, but in the main it happens when the flights are in congested areas, so around residential properties and that type of thing, and people get a little bit concerned about their privacy.
You could this is an idea. Maybe I'll do this here in the U.S. is just put the QR code, print it directly on the shirt, and then just say, "Have questions? Scan here." Put it on your back.
I do actually have that T-shirt, and it's in the Geeksvana. I do actually have that one for the UK. It's in the Geeksvana merch.
You mean it's got a QR code that
sub 249-gram drones can fly over people, and then a QR code to go to the rules.
Sean, you keep calling me out for not knowing your channel well enough, because there's all these resources that you have that I think don't exist. But
hey,
as you said too. And I think, Gary, you said this as well, is just being that ambassador for people and letting them see. It kind of depends on what you're doing too, though, right? And it depends on how they approach you and what their demeanor is. But like I said, the way that Canadian park ranger handled the situation with me, I just felt that was so professional, and just, he didn't yell at me. He was very, very polite, and very much, again, the fact that he drove off in his truck before I landed, just said, thank you and have a great day, I thought was fantastic.
Did you have a Brandt aerial sticker? Because if you did, that may have been the thing that won him over.
That's what I really need. That's what I need is a Brandt aerial sticker on all my equipment, so that I can
just say, just come to Canada and say you're Brandt aerial certified.
Right.
You're good to go.
Right. Well, so let me ask you guys, from a just purely fun and entertaining idea. You were talking a little bit earlier, Gary, about chasing an airplane at the South, and I say airplane, you just lost me, or I can't hear myself anymore. Can you guys still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yep.
Chris is rearranging some things.
I can hear you.
So chasing a model airplane, a remote control model airplane, I find that a lot of fun. What is it that you enjoy doing, Gary? Like, is it taking pictures? Is it flying? Flying faster? Is it flying over water? What would you say if you had one thing that gets you going on drones?
What really gets me going, I like to do video that informs a little bit. I've done construction sites, progress. People seem to enjoy that. And I do a lot of farm video. Potato harvest, wheat harvests, soybeans, all that kind of stuff, how the food gets on your table. And I don't know, I'm the laziest flyer there is. If I could shoot it from my yard.
Well, yeah, you told me a story about flying like a building next door to your house, and you did it from your own property. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I spent a year doing a greenhouse, and I still haven't finished that video. I'm doing I did a 3-minute video of the year of construction from the beginning to finish, but now I'm doing a documentary on the family, so that they have a history of the family in that business.
The ones that own the greenhouse.
The ones that own the greenhouse. Actually, it's the children of the guy it's the grandchildren of the guy who started the business.
The founder. Yeah. Here's a little. Yeah. Is this that greenhouse?
No. This is the house. That's right over there. I could see it from here. That's a
construction.
I'm covering that. Now, what happened there was I'd flown it 7 times. And one day I saw some trucks parked there, a truck and a car. And I went into the house and introduced myself, and it was the homeowner.
Oh, wow.
The people that are and I said, I've flown over this 7 times, and here's my card. You're welcome to view it on YouTube, and my YouTube channel's all there, and the details in the card. And I said, once this is all complete and I've got the complete series, I'll put it on a flash drive and give it to you as a housewarming gift.
Nice.
They were thrilled.
Yeah. Wow.
Now the builder was there. He was there with her. They were making some floor plan changes. He said, "Do you do this stuff commercially?" And I said, "Well, if you qualify." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "If it's not fun, I won't do it."
Yeah, it's kind of the Steve Jobs rule: no a-holes, right?
Yeah. And I said, I'll fly for you. It'll be a reasonable price. And, if you like it, we'll continue. If I have any problems, you'll never hear from me again.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
that's awesome that you met the homeowner, because, they're the ones shelling out lots and lots of money to build that. And I'm sure to be able to see it going up from foundation to completion is amazing for them.
Well, the greenhouse project that I did, they approached me because they'd seen a little article in the local paper that I'd done some flying, and I've known that family for 30 years, and they said, we'd like you to come out and shoot it, like to do some construction, project. And I said, sure, I'll cover it from start to finish.
Nice.
And we agreed on a price, and I went way over my time, but the rest of it's a gift. I mean, when you don't have to leave home to do the job.
Right. It makes it really easy to want to start to do it. Yeah, there's the greenhouse.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's a multi-million-dollar project, and just a ton of science goes into that. It doesn't look like much. It looks like a bunch of glass, but there's, computers that run the climate control system and open and close the vents. And
I mean, that cannabis ain't going to grow itself, right?
No, it's all flowers. They're a flower grower. And this big tank you see here is full of hot water. They heat the water, and then they bring it in, and they make steam to sterilize the soil and
nice,
and to heat the place. And and there's my house right over there in the corner.
Nice. Well, so that, you talk about a project that you couldn't say no to being right next door. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And then Sean, for you, you and I had a good chat when I was there, and you shared some projects you're working on. But from a drone perspective, what do you enjoy doing? What are your favorite types of projects, or your favorite kind of flying that you like to do?
I think I've enjoyed a lot of the mapping side of things, because I think that's always interesting in terms of bringing the data to particular projects, and sort of, the projects are always pretty cool and that type of thing. We recently also had a very interesting project, which was with Southampton University. We were there as the production company to film their event, to announce a thing called fire drone, which it's basically a drone with sensors to tell if a fire's smoke is dangerous, that
toxic
type of thing. So we were flying drones to capture the trials of that, basically for the project trailer and the project release videos and that type of thing. So in that one we had about 4 different drones in the air.
Mostly Inspires, or
Fire College.
What sort of drone would you fly at an event like that?
Yeah, that was an i2, and also we had a Mini 3 up as well, because you can just get it in the air so quickly. You still get the 4K footage. And the other one, there was also a Mavic 3 thermal up to capture some
I guess
some
a thermal
which was being flown by one of the other partners who were part of the trial, and then of course with the fire drone itself in the air, which was a hand-built drone by students at Southampton University. So those kind of ones I find quite interesting, because they're a little bit intricate. There's a little bit of sort of negotiation as far as keeping us all safe, having that many in the air. That's the project there.
Nice.
So that was an interesting one. So projects like that I find very interesting, because there's a little bit of sort of intricacy to it. But I have to say, otherwise, I love flying the Avata. I still love flying the FPV drone, the DJI FPV drone. I love the fact that I can go to the same field over and over again, and every flight's different, because it's obviously flying in manual mode, etc. It's always a little bit of a challenge, always a bit more fun. So I enjoy so much. I still, since I haven't reached my peak of loving drones yet, if that makes sense. I'm still
I think we're all like that, right? That's this group, everybody in the chat right now, everybody that's watching, and all of us. It's still fascinating, and I think there's a certain reason. I'll just go out on a bit of a limb. I think there's a certain reason this flying drones appeals to particularly camera drones, but the early drones that came out 5-10 years ago appeals to people our age, and I'm talking like probably 40 to 60 range, because there's a lot of drone pilots that are in that pilot range that hang out in our group. It was something we would have loved to have done as a child, but it was impossible, right? We tried to build model airplanes. We might have messed with rockets, with the rockets you could send up. I mean, the whole, if you loved flight, if you loved aviation, you always had this dream of being able to fly something. And I remember with my dad building balsa airplanes, building high wing balsa, and had a little 4-channel Futaba radio that we were trying to fly the thing with. It was so difficult, and you crashed so much, and it took weeks to build, and you had to have a big giant field and a buddy box and somebody who knew what they were doing. Anyway, now it's so easy to get up in the air and to do so many things that I think we still have that almost disbelief that this exists, right? And I think for younger people who grow up and drones are just part of the world, they've never known a world without drones, so that's just a drone. What's the big deal? I think we're kind of like, ah.
Yeah,
exactly. For me, early sort of, I did a lot of modeling early on, very early at a very young age, and then I did nothing. And I actually spotted a parrot drone very, very cheaply in a retail catalog, and I just couldn't believe. I was like, sorry, drones can do what now? And they're
Right.
how cheap? And I can go buy this thing and just go fly, and it just seemed amazing. And that first parrot I got, I controlled with a mobile phone. And then I was like, okay, now I want a proper controller. Okay, now I want a better camera. Now I want.
Yeah.
And here we are a few years later.
Snowballed. What about you, Gary?
I'm just going to move my camera over so you can see my fascination with flight. Up here, it's the Wright brothers framed poster with Orville and Wilbur. I used to work for a company that they owned.
Wow.
I worked for Curtiss Wright. I retired from Curtiss Wright. They were an aviation company that does all kinds of weird aviation stuff. And
wow. Well, and now now the whole notion of drone deliveries, the zipline stuff that's going on, autonomous cars. I mean, all this stuff that was sort of science fiction. I've heard people kind of joke about, in this day and age, we thought we'd have flying cars. Well, we sort of do, and they're coming quickly. But we do have a television and a phone and a communication device and a computer in our pockets, right? And that's something when I was 10 years old, if you had told me, I mean, if you watch Star Trek at all, you remember the tricorders and the devices they had. It was pure science fiction.
That was so far-fetched.
Yeah, how could it be that small? And these things were still, they were like the size of a shoebox, and they still were like not as powerful as what we can do with a phone today. It just, I do think being a little bit older helps you appreciate what the world was like before those things existed, and there's more wonder in them.
Can you stop? Stop calling us older.
Oh, sorry,
Please.
sorry. I just meant me.
Man.
I just meant me.
Not so much focus on the old, okay?
How about mature?
We're all young whippersnappers here.
Okay. I appreciate that optimism. Well, so as far as upcoming stuff, so you will be over here, Sean, for coming in for Minefield. That's awesome. I know a lot of people that would want to meet you. And then you said you might be able to make it down to Spin Up, and I'm going to announce the date.
I'm 100% coming to Spin Up.
Oh,
yeah. I believe your people contacted my people, and
right.
I think I'm actually coming officially to Spin Up. So I cannot wait for that.
Yeah. Hey, and by the way, Metro Drones just put a $20 super chat in the till, and I want to say hey to Bill because he and his wife, every year that we've done Spin Up, have been a huge, huge help with the setup, with the food, with everything. His wife, Sandy, is amazing. She comes in and helps my wife, handle all the catering and such. So I do hope they're going to be able to make it. But to hear you say 100%, that makes me really happy. Gary, can we get 200% tonight?
200 what?
200% coming to Spin Ups?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's
sure.
go.
Is sure legally binding? I'll take it. Well, hey guys, really appreciate anything else you want to add about flying drones and doing it responsibly, where you are or anywhere. Any other thoughts? Yes, Sean.
Don't fly alone.
That's actually a legal thing. You do need a spotter.
Could you imagine? Well, I suppose with a spotter, yeah.
Yeah. Gary, any other thoughts on it?
My advice is fly it like you stole it.
Okay.
No, what I'd like to do though, before we go off, is I'd like to say hello to the people in the chat that I've ignored. Bob Casey's been there.
Yeah, Bob Casey,
and all those people that I met at the South Florida Drone Meetup. I'm still coming down from the high of meeting all the stars of YouTube at the Drone Meetup.
Well, we're actually going to talk about that. Ben, you guys aren't going anywhere. If you got a little bit more time, I'd love to have you hang on and talk about South Florida Drone Meetup. It's a bit of a mouthful, but before we do that,
I'm out of here. Sorry,
but you got somewhere to be at 3 a.m. before we do that, I want to see if you guys saw this video. I meant to play this a little bit earlier. This was something that Mel with 400 AGL sent me. Can we go ahead and take a look at this? This was pretty amazing.
No, I don't think I did.
So you know, you're just like, wait for it, and then he gets in there.
Wow. Yeah.
Both Chris and I were really trying to figure out if this was faked or not, but I don't think it was. This looks pretty real.
Does the light come on?
No, that was the only dumb thing about it. But Mel sent this to me, and I thought it was pretty hilarious. So thank you, Mel, for sending this.
How does the drone separate?
Well, just watch here for a second. I want to recreate this. So you can see he's trying to get away. And there he goes. Pretty well done, actually. I think there's a couple of ways you could possibly do it. One would be to have sort of a rubbery kind of grippy thing, like a cup-shaped thing that is on the top of your drone that the bulb sits in that like has a little friction so it won't slide away. But you have to have enough of a grip on it to turn it, right? And then the other might be to glue a tiny little magnet to the drone or to the drone and to the light bulb, like just glue it to the glass, and then have the switch turned on so that when it makes final contact, it lights up, right? That
would be perfect.
That's what was missing from that video. But I thought
but it was a ceiling fan too, right? So if it was on and the fan was going, that would really
that's expert mode. That's boss mode right there.
Now remember, I don't know if you're old enough to remember in school.
I'm not old, Gary. None of us are old. We're whippersnappers.
Stick tack or sticky tack. Do you remember that? It was like a plasticky goo stuff.
Yeah.
And you'd be able to stick notes up.
Yeah.
That would work.
Yeah. You could put a poster on the wall and it didn't take the paint down or anything.
Yeah.
All right.
Use stick tack.
I think maybe this would be a good contest. Like see who can do this. But we'll talk about that. But before we do, you guys both know or at least know of, I don't know if you've met in person, but our good pal Chris Hope, right?
Yep.
Chris Hope. Yeah, and
he's a gem.
He truly is. He truly is a gem and somebody that I appreciate for a lot of reasons, including the fact that he makes a video for this show every month, and we call it 2 Minutes of Hope. So I have a video I'd like to show you guys from him. This is called a snubbing unit. So we're going to take a look at this snubbing unit here, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it. So those are trees. It's not the snubbing unit. Big reveal. But that's it. You can see it's on a crane, and this thing is used. It's rated at 330,000 pounds, and they're using it to lift, wait for it, 4,000 feet of 5.5-inch steel pipe out of their well. Can you imagine how heavy a 4,000-foot pipe would be? I don't know. I imagine it's probably done in sections. They probably take a part out and then unthread it and then take another part out. But that's what's going on here is they're pulling this pipe out of a well. The well is under pressure, and so ultimately they've got to make sure that there's not any sort of explosion or something goes awry with the pressure. But then check it out. See what happens right here. So I think that might be where they separated the pipe. I'm not really sure. But Chris did this. I think what's really cool about this, he did this for his job, and he did this. Obviously, got to use his drones, as part of the job, which I don't think was in his normal drone job description, but just as a drone pilot that works with these guys, they're like, hey, can you put your drone up to document this thing? So he got to do this, which I think was really cool.
Wow.
Now, of course, if it was me, I'd have been orbiting the whole time, right? I wouldn't have just sat there in one spot. Chris, there's the pipe. That's what they're pulling out of the ground. And you can see I would imagine one piece of that pipe is probably heavier than most of us would want to lift, you know. But yeah, 2 minutes of hope, Chris Hope. So you'll both get to hang out with him probably at Mindfield, most likely at Spin Up as well, because he's been to Spin Up every time we've done it. So thank you, Chris. Can we get some applause? Yeah, Chris Hope. And as we go on, so as I said before, we have the hidden hashtag giveaway. Now, if you guys have paid attention, and obviously, like I said, Sean, there's a lot of your content I need to go back and watch because I asked about it tonight. We do this little trick in order to get more people looking for things in the video, so we get longer watch time and them scrubbing back and forth over minute sections. When Chris and I did the video for the Cinehawk, which is the Emax FPV Cinewoop drone that came out recently, and it has the 03 camera in it. We had a few different hashtags in it, and we had, I think, about 10 people that actually saw the hashtag, and all you have to do when you see the hashtag in the video is comment, and then you're entered, and then we announce it on First Friday. So they're the ones that are going to win, or they're eligible to win this TopTes anemometer. Now, Gary, you remember this? We had this at the drone meetup. This is you remember what an anemometer is? It's a wind speed indicator.
That's the one that has Beauchart spit all over it, right?
That's right. It does have Beauchart spit in it. No, actually, I gave that one to DeMarco. He won that one. So there were two of them. DeMarco won the Beauchart autographed version with the funny smell, and this one is going to be given away to the person who wins this spin. But before we do, I'd like to go ahead and show you guys a little video that we took at the event demonstrating this thing.
I have with me a TopTes, we'll call it TopTes anemometer. That is basically a wind dial. 31.8. It's like a breathalyzer. Okay, what's going on here?
Oh, so close.
30.7. That's bad. 32.6.
Oh, Dennis.
You gotta be a bigger blowhard than me.
26.3. Oh, okay.
He's from the New York area. He's full of hot air.
Oh, 17.26.
Oh, man, 17. I don't have much weight.
So, Dennis Lovelady, 32. 29.
Okay.
Whoa! I don't know what that'll get you in life except for dizzy.
It'll get you dizzy.
You can switch between units. I'm gonna do miles per hour because most of the audience I think will get that the most, and just see how much wind we've actually got going here. So right now, getting photo bomb. You want to try it? There's a record. 34 is the record.
What, to blow?
To blow, yeah.
It's got blood alcohol content. What the hell?
Okay, you ready? So
what's going on with that, eh?
There's 27, and go for it.
Guys, but I don't think it'll work very well. 28. I'm hired.
28. Yes. He's drunker.
I'm hired.
It's like 9 in the morning. This is miles per hour, so it's not metric. 30.
And look at the spit all over it.
There you go. All right, so let's see what the real wind speed is. 14. I saw 14.
So yeah, that's the deal. That's the TopTes. So like I said, DeMarco got the one that was blown on, but we're gonna give away to one of the people that got the hashtag correct. Give this one away. So Chris is gonna bring up the magic wheel. This actually has all the names of the people who got the hashtag correct, and I'm gonna see if maybe Sean, if you could reach out your left arm. Reach out your left arm, Sean, and then give it a spin.
Hang on, I gotta get out of the picture.
There you go. You got it? Oh, and it went the opposite direction. It was spring-loaded. Here we go. Big applause for... I can't read it. It's too small. The DJ Mike. Okay. So we don't know who that is. Doesn't mean they didn't win, but let's do a backup spin. And if this person doesn't contact me in the next week, I'll try to reach out to them. If I can't contact them, then the second person that we get wins. So Gary, if you want to give it a spin, and I think you can either use the spring-loaded by going down, or you can use the regular by going up.
I'll go up.
Doesn't it,
All right.
doesn't it go the opposite way, or is that just the toilet water?
In Canada, yeah. Oh, well done, well done. All right,
Very cool.
here's our second one, and is that Gary Bauer?
Jerry Bauer, Canadian wins. Well
There we
done,
go.
Jerry.
All right. So Jerry, if you're watching, or if you can reach out, or if you're watching after the fact, send me your address. I'll mail this to you. And yeah, these are handy. I don't know if you guys have used them, but on a particularly windy day, just to kind of know what the gusts are going up to, or if you're trying to tell a client, oh, I don't think we should fly today, then this is a pretty good thing to have. So in that video, you guys did see. So I'm going to give it to the first person that won, by the way, if they contact me first, and then Jerry, you're the second. You're the backup if I don't hear from them in a couple of days. But I want to thank TopTes. By the way, if anybody wants one of these, there is a link in the description with a 10% coupon code down there, the ANEMOMETER. And you know what? If you do play Wordle or Words with Friends or Scrabble or anything like that, there's a lot of points in that word. It's a long word. So I do want to talk about the South Florida Drone Meetup. Gary did make it down for that. Gary, what was your impression? What did you think? Have you been to one of those before in South Florida?
No.
Okay.
We host one in Canada.
Okay.
But our record of attendance is 4.
Well, maybe you should serve donuts or Molson or something.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
But,
yeah, what did you think?
Oh, it was unbelievable. The hospitality at the hotel, the meetup the night before at Sticks Billiards. It was Disneyland for droners. Actually, it was like meeting all the movie stars you'd ever want to meet, you know?
Right.
It was just really nice to be able to put, well, not to put faces to the names, because I've got all the faces, right? But to actually meet people in the flesh, you know, it was just unbelievable, you know? I thought the most dangerous thing was meeting Bob Casey, because he threatened to collapse a lung when he hugged me.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, he's a hugger. He'll give you a hug. Well, speaking of faces, so Jackrabbit FPV, Scott actually put up a very nice kind of giveaway at the event. He drew this Faces of the Drone Community. Yeah, we've got it here on the screen. And actually, Sean, Geeksvana, do you see yourself in there?
Yes.
Where are you?
I remember. Yeah, I'm top right, aren't I?
Yeah. And isn't that usually like the position of power? Like up and to the right, that's where you want everything growth, you know, and you're right next to Biden.
More loitering in the corner.
Well, no, that guy actually does kind of look like Joe Biden. Can you go back to the top right? So that is
although that does not give any affiliation though.
Yeah. I didn't mean to politicize. I just thought that looked like Joe Biden, and yeah, he is president, so top right. Anyway, yeah, really cool thing. If you kind of scroll all around, you can see. Oh yeah, there's Gary.
There's
And
me,
Gary,
I'm with John Childs there. John's been one of our meetups.
That's a pretty accurate look for you too. I mean, even just looking at you right here on camera, I would say, yeah, you get the smile going, and it looks just like you. Now, go over to me, Chris, if you would. I'm going to say, Chris and I, we're not so sure that these look exactly like us. There's me, and Chris, go down to you. But
oh yeah,
you think?
Oh sure.
But you know what? This thing is kind of one of those Where's Waldo things where it was really fun to just go in and take a look at who all's on this poster. If you haven't seen it, contact Jackrabbit FPV. And by the way, that knife is not a knife of any sort of aggression. That is a knife that represents the knife that Chris Hope made actually made for Rick Halber. And then when Rick Halber passed away, it was given to Steve Carpenter. at Spin-Up, actually. So, just a lot of real interesting stories behind all these pictures and behind all these faces. And, I think a lot of folks who are in the chat are in this thing, and just, it's awesome. So I thought that was super cool that Scott made this. And I think if everybody had the long hair of Harley, FPV, can you go over to Harley for a second? See, he just stands out. I think you just got to have like really long hair, and then you'll be easy to spot on the thing. But people like me with sort of hair club for men, we're in trouble. So
now here's my faces of the drone community poster.
Yeah,
and I put a mark next to everybody. I've got little post-it sticky things, right, for everybody that's been on, because it's like I'm trying to fill the poster and collect them, right?
Man, I thought that was your hit list, and they were the people you'd killed.
Man, but here's the thing. I was getting close, but then he goes and adds 30 more people.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good, because then the show's got to go on.
He's moving the goalpost.
That's right. 30 more weeks.
Yeah.
Well, it's a super cool thing. Alexis is on there. Hey, I got to meet Alexis at the drone meetup. Funny thing, we're both from Texas, but we met in Florida, and she's awesome. And again, she was actually subscriber of the month back in the day. So with all of that said, I did want to do our little recap that we did of the South Florida drone meetup. Chris and I put this together and just thought we'd share it with you guys and see what you think. All the way from Canada. Who's your first? Who's a solid? It's gotta be Little Shark.
Give away one of these cinelifters, and I was looking around trying to figure out who would we give this to, who's capable of flying something like this. More importantly, who has the money to replace the camera that they put on this? And I said, there's nobody better than Kelly to give this to. So I'm going to give this cinelifter to Kelly. It's one of many gifts we're going to be giving out today. I hope everybody's having an awesome time at the South Florida Drone Meetup. So that's for you, man.
This is my first cinelifter. Dono was my first kiss, so I think that's appropriate. It happened last night. I think Boshark got it on camera. But I'll keep it brief, but I told Captain Ray earlier and Maddie, this event, really, I had high expectations, and this event far exceeded those high expectations. You guys killed it. Way to go for this event. Thank you. Sorry if you're live streaming. So yeah, hopefully that captured the you know, a little bit of the spirit of it. It was a lot of me. Chris was shooting, and I guess he captured me in a lot of shots. I didn't quite mean to be in so many of the shots, but man, what a good time, right?
Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. If you get a chance to go to the South Florida Drone Meetup or to Spin Up, do it. You won't regret it. The best people in the world go to those things.
Truly. And one of those moments where, you know, we all come from different walks of life, different countries, different different nationalities, different beliefs in certain ways, but we all believe in our friendship. We all believe in flying drones. We all believe in kind of the future of this hobby / sport / obsession that we have. And, you know, it's awesome. Now, Sean, have you been to a meetup over in the U.S. yet?
No, Minefield will be my first one.
Wow. You are going to be just be ready for it. It's kind of almost overwhelming emotionally, like to meet people like this. And then, someone like you with a pretty big following and a presence, that's also a little bit emotionally overwhelming. I have to say too, it was a little emotionally overwhelming. Ken Dono giving me that Cinelifter was completely unexpected. His comment about me being able to afford to crash an expensive camera, I'm not sure if that really is the best reason, but I'm so excited to get that thing in the air. My biggest challenge right now is getting a hold of, I want to buy the Boxer, what is it called? Radio Master Boxer for it, and I can't find any in stock. But yeah, I'm excited to get that Cinelifter in the air, and I'm going to put the Canon C70 on it.
Nice. Well, at least you've got way down the road. He is obviously Mr. Cinelifter.
Yeah, and I've never flown one. You know, I've only flown smaller FPV quads with GoPros and such. So very excited. But with all of that said, again, I will post that video on my channel now that I've played it here. So if you want to go back and check it out again, the South Florida Drone Meetup. Spin Up will be coming up very soon. But before we talk about that, I want to talk real quick about our Subscriber of the Month. Now, both of you know that Subscriber of the Month is something I do monthly for someone that has been just a good friend of the channel, has been in the chats, has been not only good for this channel, but great for the drone community. Just looking in here, I see Bob Casey has been that before. Gene Fox has been that before. You have most recently, Sean. That was a little bit of convenience since I was coming to see you anyway, but I wholly meant it. Of course, Chris Hope has been Subscriber of the Month. Kai, Barkley, Joe, Blaylock, Alexis, Brad Alston, my brother Brad from Virginia. All these people have been Subscriber of the Month, and they're in good company because they're such, just again, positive people in this community. And I think this world, if this world, and I'm on a bit of a soapbox, but if everybody in this world, U.S., Europe, England, the UK, Canada, if we could all be more like the drone community as a whole, I think this would be a better world. So let's just keep trying to get it out there. Somebody that I think really exemplifies that is Original Dobo. Ken Dobo. That guy, he's got sort of a rough and tumble, devil may care attitude about things, and people think he's just, cussing and drinking and causing problems. And he does. But he does it in a way that is so, first of all, entertaining, but second of all, this guy donated so much stuff to the South Florida Drone Meetup. I mean, all of the really big prizes came from him, or most of them did, including that Cinelifter, including a 5-inch quad that Jenna C won. So congrats to Jenna for winning that 5-inch FPV quad, including an Autel Evo 2. He donated so much stuff. And not only that, I know that he has given away many, many things to people who maybe didn't have a drone or wanted a drone or crashed their drone or whatever. And he doesn't even publicize it. He just gives people stuff when they need it and doesn't really ask to be rewarded for it. So I want to personally call out Ken Dono, aka Original Dobo, and say thank you for being awesome. I don't think he's in the chat, but I will let him know that he is Subscriber of the Month, or maybe you guys, if you watch his channel, can hit him up. I will be sending him a package of goodies, and of course I will be flying his Cinelifter, and Okay, that had a little bit to do with the choice, but he gave me a friggin' cine lifter, man. So how can I pick otherwise? So we're coming up on the top of the hour here. As I said before, we are going to talk about Spin Up here in a second. But before you go, if you have time, Art is going to be on live from the Philippines, Artco Drone Solutions. I think there is a link. I think I did this thing where it's supposed to automatically push you to his stream after this one. And again, he asked me to take the 7 o'clock slot because he was in the Philippines and wanted it. So that's why we went early. I think it actually worked out probably better for you, Sean, right? Because it was a little bit earlier. So thank you, Art.
Definitely.
Go check out his show. And so here is the big moment that I'd like to reveal for Spin Up 2023. It's not the date that I thought it was going to be for a variety of reasons. And so if I told you one date, it's not that date, but it's pretty close to it. It will be in Austin, Texas on October 21st, 2003. It will be at the venue we were at last year, which was the Cedar Park Center. It was a great venue for the event. Everybody seemed to really like it. Everybody seemed to really enjoy it there. There's hotels nearby. There's a great little brew pub nearby. There's restaurants all around. There's a place to fly outside. They were super friendly. And quite honestly, I'm glad I got that date because a lot of the Saturdays are actually full for the rest of the year. So I was able to get the entire space again, including the kitchen, including all 3 rooms, the patio. It's all ours. October 21st, 2023. Be there or be square. It sounds like I've got a commitment from both Gary and Sean. They're coming. So if you want to hang out with them. And I'm also going to say from the flight crew's perspective, if you're part of the flight crew, I will be offering a pretty significant discount code for the flight crew, just to say thank you. And that will be for flight crew members who have been a flight crew member anytime before May 1st. So if you aren't a part of the flight crew, but you join before May 1st, you'll get a discount code for the event that will save you more than 1 month of flight crew membership. So it's, financially it's a good investment, but I'm hoping you'll stick around after that. And tickets will actually go on sale around May 1st. I'll have the website up. It's dronespinup.com. I think the old website from last year or 2 years ago is still up there. But we'll have some sponsors, some speakers. We'll have giveaways, all that good stuff. It's a little more of a conference than a meetup. And so we've got speakers that'll be there. It's kind of indoors. There are breaks and opportunities for networking and flying, but there are going to be opportunities for learning and some hands-on stuff with some demos. It's our 5th year to do it. I'm honestly not sure if I'm going to continue after this year. So this may be the last one. I don't know yet. It's a lot of work, but if you were ever planning to come to Spin Up, before it goes away, this would be a year to do it. We'll see for next year, but I can tell you, I'm not going to do it every year. Kind of like Ken Herron stopped doing every week. Every year of Spin Up is too much. And so at the most it would be every 2 years. But again, I don't even know. So if you ever want to come to Spin Up, this is the year to do it. Tickets will go on sale on May 1st, which will be, and I'll have a lot more details at that point. But I have the venue. That's what I've been waiting for. So I'm so excited that you'll both be coming to Spin Up 2023 in Austin. It's a great town. I look forward to showing you guys around, kind of, why this place has such a good reputation. Now, have either of you been to Austin before?
Nope.
No?
I haven't been.
Have you been to Texas?
Nope.
Sean, what about you? Okay. Well, there are 4-year-olds with whatever kind of gun you said it was, BB gun. So look out for that. But other than that, it's a great. We'll get you on a horse. We'll get you eating some barbecue. We'll get you driving a truck and going. Yeah. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being on tonight. We are just about to the 1.5 hour mark. Again, if you aren't doing anything for the next hour, go check out Artco Drone Solutions live stream. He's got it starting in about 7 minutes. And any final word, Gary, before you depart us?
Just kindness is free. Be kind.
I
Give
love
it
it.
freely.
I love it. And Sean?
If kindness doesn't work, smack him over the head and run.
Hey, hold up what you got there next to you. What do you got? What do you got on the table?
This is a Kelly Shaw's original. This is the Tello that you sent me.
That took
as a
6
very
months
kind
to get
gift for
there.
a pre-show, and it ended up going via New Zealand to make its way here, and it took 5.5 months.
I remember we
through the post.
kept emailing back and forth, and you were like, I was like, I swear I sent it months ago, and then it showed up, and Sean shows it to me, and it's got all these postmarks. It was actually kind of cool. So, all right,
it lives up on the shelf in the new studio here, so it has pride of place,
and it's got the Union Jack on it, so made me think of you. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you. As Sean said, and as everybody here says, and Gary as well, don't fly alone. We'll see you next time, and thanks for watching. Have a good evening.
When I fly, I won't fly alone. I'm gonna fly with Ready, Set, Drone. 'Cause Ready, Set, Drone will always fly with me. Flying fast and flying free. Flying with friends is the life for me. 'Cause Ready, Set, Drone is my community. Goggles and rotors and FPV, props and motors and ESCs, gimbals and cameras are what we used to fly. Sharing stories and swapping tales, amazing triumphs and epic fails. But will you know if you don't ever try? Ready, set, drone, ready, set, drone. Spin up your props and plug in your phone. Fly with us and we think you'll agree. Ready, set, drone, ready, set, drone. What's the point of flying alone? Flying with friends will make you feel so free. Ready, set, drone. 'Cause Ready, set, drone will always fly with me. Flying fast and flying free. Flying with friends is the life for me. 'Cause Ready, set, drone is my community. Ready, set, drone, ready, set, drone. Spin up the props and plug in your phone. Fly with us and we think you'll agree. Ready, set, drone, ready, set, drone. What's the point of flying alone? Flying with friends will make you feel so free. Flying with friends will make you feel so free. Flying with friends will make you feel so free.